Thank you again. It's great to be here in Miami, and looking forward to a good 30 minutes with you to share with you kind of what Cisco is doing when it comes to IoT. But really, it's about our customers who are trying to use the data at the edge of their environments and how cybersecurity plays a very key role in how they're deploying it. So in this talk, I'm going to try to break it down into 3 parts. We'll start with how our customers and where they are in their adoption process. We'll take 2 case studies and kind of talk about how customers, whether one customer in transportation, another customer in manufacturing in Europe, how are they dealing with the data that's coming into their environments, and then how do they deal and manage the cybersecurity risks and the profiles of how they're building that out. And 3, kind of how Cisco is kind of putting these capabilities together for our customers. So with that as a background, let's get started. The first question that we all are doing in our own personal lives and our professional lives is really how do we use data? How do we use the information around us to kind of go from the left-hand side of this chart to the right-hand side? Many of the customers I deal with on a regular basis, they might still be in the clipboards and the paper and the pen to kind of do inventory of devices that are in their environment. But we know that's not sufficient. We know that's not quite contemporary in 2020. And we know customers are trying to go to the right, where they're looking to connect near real-time data, make faster decisions where the data is being generated and where they are managing. But that's harder to do than it is to say on a stage like this. It all really starts with our customers in kind of trying to do 2 things. They're either trying to create analytics applications where they want to make sense of all of the environments that they have, or they're trying to make real-time command and control decisions. But these are the applications that they're creating, whether they're in their private data center or in a cloud environment. And as you can see on the left-hand side of this page, those applications aren't super productive if they aren't fed real-time data from the edge and the distributed environments our customers have. Gartner predicts that over 75% of the data will be created at the edge of the network, at the far distributed parts of where our customers are. But they're concerned about cybersecurity. They're concerned about complexity in integrating all of these capabilities. It's kind of clear that you really need to make decisions closer to the edge, such that you're making efficient, near real-time decisions. And even for some regulatory reasons, customers want to control or need to manage the flow of their data. And so this is the landscape in which the customers are operating. The challenges that we see our customers face when they embark on these projects are really these 3. First, it's around cybersecurity. When they connect all of these operational environments to the enterprise network, the threat surface from cybersecurity point of view expands, and we know security is the #1 limiting factor when it comes to IoT projects. And when they try to deploy edge capabilities, they need to become system integrators. What IoT gateway do I use? What virtualization software? How do I manage the application lifecycle? And how do I deploy this, not just in a carpeted environment, but over thousands of miles, whether you're a department of transportation, you're an oil and gas company, how do I orchestrate and operate this at scale? Even if you did that, then it's about your data. How do I manage the flow of the data? How do I create policies? How do I get this data to a public cloud environment or to my private data center? And how do I manage who has access to the data at what point in time and how long they might need to store it? And more importantly, can they control my environment? So this is what our customers on a global basis are facing. You know Cisco as an IT leader and a security leader. But what you might be surprised to know that we have over 70,000 IoT customers on a global basis. From a case study point of view, I'll just take 2 examples here today. We'll take a transportation example, a department of transportation trying to kind of bring safety and security to their environment, and a manufacturing customer from Europe in how they're doing it. So now let's jump to the second part of the conversation, really around these 2 case studies and 2 customer stories that I want to share with you. The first one is a US Department of Transportation customer. As you might know, a Department of Transportation measures themselves on the number of fatalities, number of deaths on their environment. And those deaths can happen on the highways, but also right around the intersection. So here's a picture where a Department of Transportation was concerned about how they can improve pedestrian safety. And they have deployed different sensors. They took a LiDAR system to detect if there is a pedestrian on the crosswalk. They have DSRC, dedicated short-range communication system, such that they can send messages to cars, especially as the move to autonomous is happening. DSRC and the V2X will play a very important role in communicating real-time status of the roads to the car environment. They have signage like pedestrian in the crosswalk. They have to connect the traffic control system that sits in that gray cabinet on the intersection. Now, if I'm a Department of Transportation, I've invested in all of these sensors. I need to be able to bring together all of this information and provide safety and for my pedestrians. So this is a project that we have actually done in kind of bringing this all together for a customer. So let's take a look. Here's an intersection. And what you see there is the gray cabinet, and in the gray cabinet is a traffic control system made by some of the industry leaders that are deployed. And what you do is the LiDAR system can now detect if there is a pedestrian in a crosswalk. With the real-time information that's available about the pedestrian and whether they're in the crosswalk or on the side of the road, now you can correlate in events. You might say, well, the traffic signal is green, and there is a pedestrian in a crosswalk. What should I do? So we enable our developers in the DOT or even in the customer or in a partner who can bring together this logic. So now you can use the DSRC radio to send a message to the cars. And in many of the cars, like a Cadillac and Audi, they can receive these DSRC messages. And as time progresses with 5G, more and more of the fleet will be able to receive these messages. So on your dashboard, a message might pop up to say, hey, listen, there's a pedestrian on the upcoming intersection, to make the user aware. We don't need to just stop there. We can take the signage and kind of let the driver know in a real-time basis that there is a pedestrian in the crosswalk. We correlate all of this information and maybe even send an alert to the Department of the Traffic Management Center about the real-time status of what's happening. So just think about that. And this is not far-flung. We have actually done this project on a stretch of about 8 miles of highway with about 6 intersections by connecting all of these systems together. We are here at S4, so now let's think about kind of what are some of the concerns and what's happening in our customer environment when it comes to implementation of edge and security in these environments. So let's kind of build that out. God forbid, or there's a threat that the LiDAR system or the video surveillance camera could be hacked into, and now I can get real-time visibility to what's happening on that intersection. And now you can imagine in this day and age how a bad actor can take that information and use that to their advantage or whatever the purpose they might have. So let's kind of now think through how can we go about protecting them and how are we helping them make that successful in their environment. So the first things is really about device identity, right? Whether it's that LiDAR system or a video surveillance camera, do I actually know what that device is before I let it onto my network? Think about that IoT gateway that is sitting in that gray traffic cabinet. Now, these aren't the most secure environments, and if somebody is able to get their hands on that IoT gateway, now they have much, much more sensitive information. So what we are working with our customers on, beyond just the physical security of these environments, you also really need to think about the hardware root of trust. Is the application in your environment secure? Is it signed? How do you manage the life cycle of that application? Because these environments are going to be there for the next 5 years, next 10 years, next 20 years. So you really have to think about the whole life cycle of security when it comes to deploying an application or an environment like this near where our homes are, our children, or our families really live. The second part of it really is about the data. Now that you have secured the environment, you have secured all of these settings, you really need to think about who should have access to the real-time status of all of the traffic signals in a given city or in a given county. Who should be able to view the real-time status, and how should we be sharing this data, whether with the device maker and a partner application, wherever that happens to be. So we really need to provide not just the security of the information, but a data governance and a data policy infrastructure to make sure only the right type of data is shared with the right partner when and how the Department of Transportation, deems it necessary. Our customers need this tool set to make sure how data flows in their environment and in a public network is controlled. So here's a use case. Again, it's not academic. It's something that we are working with our customers on today, and we need to really think about what are the implications of doing projects like this. Let's switch continents. Here is a customer in Austria. They happen to make high quality tensile steel, and they need to make sure that they are producing good quality fasteners and bolts and nuts for their customers. For multiple years, they've been looking to get real-time visibility from their smelters, their CNC machines, and their fabrication environment such that they can provide high-quality product to their customers. And they've been having some challenges with it. If I'm a machine builder, I might run my application in a public cloud environment like an Azure or AWS. I might want to take only my data, my production data, my intellectual property, and retain it within my data center. So how do we work with them to make their use case come to life? So the next page is really a little bit more of an illustration of how this works. Recognize that most of these environments are sitting in a multi-vendor heterogeneous environment. So on the left-hand side, you see device makers. It could be a machine from an ABB or a Siemens or a Rockwell or whoever they're choosing to run their application. On the right-hand side are their public cloud application environments or private environments. And it's really about how you move the data from the left-hand side to the right-hand side of this picture. So I'm just going to build this out one click at a time to make it easy to follow. And from an illustration point of view, I might have a robot, and I'm trying to measure the temperature, the vibration, and the health of this robot. And I really want to be able to monitor this not just today, but over time. What the customer environment faces is in this multi-vendor environment, you might use OPC UA from one vendor, or you might use Modbus from another. But when I ingest this data, I need to normalize temperature, vibration into all of these environments. So how Cisco is working with them is its ability to connect using the southbound connector to this machine, to be able to translate that register or that JSON field or that data element really means temperature or vibration. And then what you want to do in the data transform category is you don't need to send the data every 10 milliseconds. Let the developer, let the operational experts figure out how and what duration do you want to send the data up to the application. But that's just a simple use case. Our customers' lives are much harder. They're trying to do this not just with one vendor, but they're trying to do this with multiple vendors. They're not doing just this one variable. They're trying to do this across multiple variables. So how do they bring this all together? So here you have a set of southbound connectors by which I can ingest the data, Modbus, OPC UA, Ethernet IP, Profinet, pick the protocol that they're deployed. You need to be able to manage and kind of map this data into a standard set of environments, and then take some action on it, transform the data, and then be able to perform this data governance function that I just talked about. Only the data about that machine should go to that machine OEM, but maybe the number of bolts I'm making or the number of cars I'm painting or number of devices I'm actually manufacturing, that is my intellectual property as that enterprise, and I don't want to share that with a partner. So the data governance element is super important from a privacy, from a financial reporting, and the strength of this business itself. And so this is the environment in which a real-world project that we are doing with our customer comes to life. Now let's translate this into a generic use case and be able to build on this overall. What are the security considerations when you sit in an environment like this? And I'm going to break this down into multiple levels. The first one really is more traditional ICS environment. Do I have visibility to that PLC or to that robot? And do I know what this device is? And how can I protect it? And so we are making sure that our customers have visibility. The IT teams, the CISO, the security organizations, they can get visibility into the plant floor because these environments have been there and will be there for many years to come. But they don't have great accurate asset visibility when it comes to these environments. So the first part of it is really more traditional ICS security and capabilities that we've been working as an industry for many years in the past. But that's not where you need to stop. Let's look at the second part of this capabilities is how do I segment and protect one cell or one zone of my plant environment from talking to another? I might need to create the segmentation policy such that the paint shop doesn't really need to talk to the welding shop and so on and so forth. But we notice when we meet with customers that there aren't those segmentation policies because many of these networks are flat and allow for threats to propagate across their environment. So the second level, visibility. The second step is about segmentation and protection of the information. And the third one really comes down to data. I might choose to send the data up to the cloud or up to my partners, but what command and control functions could they have when it comes down towards the devices? And we need to help protect our customers for these actions that might, unknowingly, a partner might do in their environment. And so this is the other part of it, is about sharing data from your environment selectively to the partner, but preventing any action that might happen from them into your environment. And so as I talked about earlier, it's about data governance. It's about which data should you provide to whom. Our customers, this is the data for our customers, they need to define this policy. But sometimes an operational team might do that because they want to improve their operation, but unknowingly they might leak some information to a partner, which can have financial and worse yet, safety and implications on their asset or their people. Again, these are not academic use cases. These are real-world deployments that are happening in customers' networks today that we need to help provide them tool set and capabilities to make it real. So let me kind of bring both of these case studies together of what it takes today to put together an IoT system and an industrial environment. Many of our industries, whether you're in manufacturing, transportation, utilities, oil and gas, really have these things, devices, machines, and sensors that have a lot of information. Customers are trying to get data from it such that they can improve their operation. And it really first starts with, let's get them connected to a secure, reliable network. And so Cisco has been active in this for many years, and we'll continue to focus and invest our time and effort in making this real. But what you see on top of it is this edge compute infrastructure layer. Most of our products today have ability to have container technology such that we can run some microservices, or partners can develop workloads, or the companies themselves can write their own software and deploy and run them in their environment. So the first step is really, let's get these things connected in the most secure and reliable way. The second part of it really comes down to, how do I bring security into it? So you've seen us, and we have announced it here this week, and we'll continue to focus on it, is bringing ICS visibility, and that function should just be a capability built right into your infrastructure. You shouldn't need to have a separate appliance. You shouldn't need to have a separate out-of-band network. That should just become a service off the network such that you, our customers, and the partners, and the broader community has real-time visibility to what's happening in their environment. The third part of this is really about this edge capability. In the edge environment, what we are doing is creating capabilities for customers to ingest the data, manage the data, and then dispatch it to the right places. I'll build on that in a little bit. And it has to be, management and automation has to be tied together in this environment, because we know that the customer, the user here, might be an operational user who's not an IT expert, doesn't really want to know about all the bits and bytes and IP addresses and security policies. But how do we make it easier for that operational user to use the technology to solve their problem and not become an IT expert or a security expert in that example? So this is kind of what we see today, is how you solve this whole system and how you help how the customers are going to be able to use it. So in the third part of my talk, and maybe the next two slides, let me kind of show you kind of how you, our practitioners, and our users can actually put this to use. So the first one, let's start around cyber vision and security. At this show, I know we talked a little bit more about how do you get visibility to these assets and devices that are in our environment. A true story. Working with one of the large manufacturing companies, even today, they walk down their manufacturing plants on a clipboard and they write down the devices they think that are connected. And they do that every 6 months. And we know these environments aren't static. Things change day in, day out, week in, week out. So how do you get visibility to what's actually in your environment? Where are these things connected? We believe that the network has a key role to play to kind of get this real-time visibility of all of the devices that are connected to your network, look deeper into the traffic and look deeper into the communication flows and recognize that this is a PLC from manufacturer 1 or a drive from a company 2 or an IED from another customer. And we are able to bring that information, the network can provide that, and we provide that visibility to the rest of the system. If there are customers who are using segmentation work around identity services, or they're creating policies on how communication works, we can feed this real-time information such that you can come up with a better segmentation and deployment policy. You might be using anomaly detection to monitor the flows, and if something changes, create an alert. We provide baselining and anomaly detection capability such that that capability exists for our customers. And we tie this all together using capabilities of Talos and our security platforms such that the security practitioners can help protect these environments, and the operational teams can get visibility to a PLC program change or a software update that a controls engineer is doing and have visibility to that. And so genuinely, if you can take one thing away here, is we believe visibility is our key issue for cybersecurity. And we are trying to make that easier and more integrated into the network rather than something that you have to bolt on and you have to put in as an aftermarket capability for your new deployments and where you're going. The second part of it that I want to talk about is really around this edge capability. I see customers, I've been doing this for about 7+ years, and edge has been a topic we have talked about for many years, but our customers still have to cobble together capabilities from different environments, and the data and the usage of this IoT data is going slower than we think. So the work that we have been doing is kind of how do we make it easier? So the functions that you have to perform when you do an IoT Edge project is really in these 4 areas. The first one, you have to be able to connect to the machines and the devices that are out there. They've been there for 5 years, they're likely going to be there for 10 years. The challenge is really that of heterogeneous protocols and per industry and per environment. So we're trying to kind of create a library of protocols, but also give our practitioners and our partners ability to kind of use the right either registers or JSON fields into the way that they're going to go use it. So it really starts with extracting the data, then ability to transform. We're giving our developer community a set of tool set by which they can come up with a set of rules. You might say, listen, I don't want to take the data every 10 milliseconds, but I really want to aggregate or average the data over the last 2 minutes. Or I don't want to take the average, I want to take a median. Like however you, or the practitioners, wants to transform the data, we provide them the capability. The third set is about governance. And this is the more complicated topic, which is who owns these governance policies in our customer environments. Is it the operational user? Is it the security department? Is it the digitization officer? Who actually defines some of these rule sets? But we believe that this data belongs to our customers, the people who are actually own the machines and own the assets, and you should define, or customers should define, how they want to share the data. So then you can create, well, this MQTT topic I want to share with this user, this community, and this MQTT topic only goes to my own data center, and I'm going to control it. We have done the work to pre-integrate this with a set of partners that you can see, such that we can allow it to work out of box, so you don't have to hire system integration and hire other experts to stitch it all together for you. So we believe this is an interesting area where IoT Edge data in this multi-cloud world, whether you're on a private data center or a public environment, is a very interesting kind of frontier over the next many years to come, and how we need to help our customers be successful in this environment. And you're going to see us announce and kind of continue to build on this capability for a set of focus industries on where we're going. The last slide to kind of put it all together. Really, every industry is trying to use IoT Edge and the data that you have in your environment to run your operations better. And it really has been a challenge for our customers because around the cybersecurity topic and the integration and deployment of these environments has been complicated, whether you are in a manufacturing setting, you're in a Department of Transportation environment, you're in a utility setting. This has been a complicated problem for our customers to solve. We believe the network and the security capabilities are super important, and we're kind of trying to tie this together into an easy-to-consume capability for the OT or the operational user, the IT personas, and the security personas. and making that in packaged using what we call Cisco validated designs and a proven blueprints that our partners and our customers can deploy and make successful with. Again, thank you for your time. Super excited to be here, and look forward to connecting with you offline. Cheers.